welcome back in, everyone. And this is your boy Berkio, and this is my beautiful bride, Brianna. We are so thankful and grateful for you guys just tuning in and listening to us each and every week. Last week we had a little bit of technical difficulties, and we
So annoying.
didn't even realize it. But apparently, it's very common, I guess, on YouTube.
Yeah, but it's up now. It's fixed and everything. So we appreciate all of you that watched the 10-minute one. It was a lot of people actually too, and I was like,
I was like,
of
that's
course
perfect.
they watch the
10
one
minutes.
that's not right. But yeah, so if you didn't get a chance to watch last week, or you only watched the first 10 minutes where we were just doing our little banter, go back, watch the actual whole video. It's a little bit longer, but it was a good time. It was really good content about what we've been talking about, which is seed preservation, our
Yeah.
children.
Yeah, and I mean that's the most important job that you'll have as a parent. Obviously, I don't know if everybody loves their jobs, but you like it, and you got to do what you got to do to provide for you and your family. And
I don't know about you, but people value jobs and careers because they're like, oh, I make this money and I'm successful and all this stuff. But success can be different things. It doesn't have to be necessarily just money. And so I feel like raising,
good humans.
yeah, is a success in
Absolutely.
itself. I know my mom always, that's like her favorite thing to say. Like, I made two human beings that are decent and treat people right and do the best that they can every day. I'm happy. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Mom. But it's true.
And it is. But, the funny thing, well, they say funny, but the interesting thing people always ask when they first meet you is, so what do you do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they can basically judge you and
base how they're going to respect you.
Yeah.
Off of what you do.
Yeah. And,
how superficial.
It is superficial.
Anyways.
You know what I mean? That's the vain part of us. But I think it is something that is just the way of the world.
Yeah.
I try to just treat the CEO as I would the janitor. Because I don't want nobody to be like, man, he treated me different because I was X, Y, and Z. And the funny part is, it's like we're not pastors. We're just two God-fearing people that love to talk about the Lord and try to apply what we learn from our Bible, right? But I was listening to Pastor Jerry, and he was like, man, I don't even tell people I'm a pastor no more. He's like, I just tell them, yeah, I do videos on YouTube. Go look it up.
Yeah.
Like, because he said,
I can see that, because then they tighten up like, oh.
Yeah, he said, as soon as I tell people that I'm a pastor, he's like, they just tighten up like, yeah, the Lord know my heart.
Yeah. You want to know something funny? This is kind of goes with that, but it's just a random thought I just thought about.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, the church that I went to is non-denominational, so like I saw people. This may be a lot for some of y'all, but I saw people, getting demons cast out, shouting, all that stuff. So it doesn't faze me now. But I remember that there were some of the ministers there that like could see spirits on people, and so my whole every Sunday, before we went to church, I'd be like, Lord, forgive me for my sins if I did something, because I don't want to go to church and these people call me out. Like, I was so scared of those ministers.
Yeah.
And they were nice people, but every time I would see them, they could be asking me how school was going. And I was like, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. Because I was like, no, I couldn't treat them like normal people.
Yeah. And I think that is just, what we automatically just assume about them.
Yeah.
Is that they're going to judge us immediately.
Right. And they never did. They were the nicest people ever, but it was me, my own insecurity of, I may not have listened all the way to my parents like I should have this week. Oh, they gonna call me out. So I think that's part of what it is when people act differently with people. It's really not. It has nothing to do with them. It's their own insecurities of feeling inferior or that, what's it called? The complex, whatever it is.
Yeah, the Napoleon complex.
Yeah.
It's about being short, though.
Well, but I mean,
I guess you could do.
Yeah, because it's like it's like you may be a super smart person, but when you're in a room with other smart people, then you think you're dumb.
I mean, that's fair.
So
I feel like that all the time. No,
I know that's why I brought it up. No, I'm just kidding.
But no, there's a lot about parenting. I think we kind of touched on it, just about how parents kind of put those expectations on us as children. As an educator, I get to see a lot of cool things and bad things, but about people, because I people watch my children, right, my students. earlier this week, one of my students comes in class and he's like, Coach, I'm sorry, man. He's like, you're a real cool guy, and I haven't been doing my work, and he's like, I want to do better. He was like, I was like, man, you can ask for help, bro. It's like you got to do it by yourself. And he was like, yeah. He's like, I'll do better, I promise. And so I was like, all right, cool. It's like it's like you and this other little lady here walking in, and she was like, okay, but let me tell you why. And I was like, okay, well, tell me why. She's like, my mom yelled at me as a kid, and because I asked her for a question or something, and my mom yelled at me, and like still to this day, I will not ask for help. And I'm like, man, that is.
It resonates, man.
You know, it's like that could happen to her. She's, I think, a junior, and that could have happened to her when she was in 7th grade. It could happen to her when she was in 1st grade, and it held what her mom had did to her. With her words. So that kind of leads us to kind of what we're.
It does. It segues really about. Nice into my question.
Oh, perfect. What is your question, love?
So
I also have a question for you again.
See, he's trying to take over my stick.
It just came to me though. I'm sorry.
Anyways,
my bad.
Hold it. So don't forget it.
No, I got it.
Okay. So just like you were saying, like things resonate. So it could be bad things, kind of like they're negative things, I should say, kind of like that, or something that may have been tough but ended up being a positive thing. So do you remember the worst punishment that you got? What was it? And do you feel like you deserved it? So I'll go first.
Okay.
So I think I was turning 10.
I think I know what you're going to say.
9 or 10. Anyways, we'll see. I decided to try to forge my name. And because I got in trouble being a follower at school, and my parents taught me not to be a follower, so I knew I was wrong. And then I didn't want to. I didn't want to get in trouble. So then we called them responsibility sheets at school, and they wrote what happened, and you had to get them signed. And I was gonna get it signed, and I was walking up them stairs, and I turned around. I said, I can't do it. My birthday's coming up. So I thought I'd forge it. And long story short, they found out. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna get a spanking, or they're gonna take something. My parents canceled my birthday. You heard it right, folks. So, still turned the next age, but I was really excited about that. It was my 10th because I was really excited about it because I went to a private school, so everybody always had extravagant parties. I didn't want a whole party. I just wanted to rent a limousine and go to the movies.
I wanted to show out in class.
Yes, I wanted the limousine to pick me and my 5 friends up from school and take us to the movies. Cool. And they were going to do it. Like, they were like, yeah, we can do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, hype. Had already told my friends, their parents knew everything. And my mom called all of them and said, she ain't doing it no more. And those parents were like, you really going to cancel it? Oh my gosh. And she was like, yeah, we don't play that. So at the time, of course, I was like, why? But now, looking back at it, I'm glad she did that because that would have started a whole...
Choices come consequences.
Yeah, it would have started a whole sequence of sneakiness of me thinking I can get away with stuff. And all bad.
No, that's good.
So I still make the joke like she canceled my birthday.
I don't think I got in trouble for it from my mom, right?
It don't have to be your mom. It could just got...
I live with my mom, so that's who's going to get on to.
Well, yeah.
However, 2 things. One, okay.
Let me explain.
So, as a kid, growing up black in America, there are certain things that you cannot do. But I came from an AAU basketball game where I come from hanging out with my friends, and one of my friends happened to not be black. So he kicked the back of his seat, and his mom got onto him, and she was like, hey, we don't kick the back of our seats like that. His shoes were dirty, and the back of the seat now muddy. And so he was like, Mom, hush. I said, oh, time out. Like, she didn't get, you get that reach around.
Ooh, yeah.
And, nothing happened. Nothing happened. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm going to try this. I don't know why I tried it.
You're dumb.
I don't know why I tried it. But my mom did something, and I was like, shut up, Mom. I'm still here. luckily.
Yeah, I was about to say, did your life flash
before your eyes? Because my mom did not play when she was younger. She did not play. She did not play.
It's them short moms, I tell you.
You know what? She's
both our moms are 5'2".
She did not play. That was one time. The other time, my mom was playing with me, right? And I remember we got into a little tiff because when you're a kid, you get all riled up, just like Robin. She gets all riled up with me. I played like the other day. They made you upset.
We're not even gonna talk about that because I almost choked him out, y'all. But that's for a relationship episode.
But what happened was my mom had locked me out the house playing. She was sitting like in front of the door, like ha ha, like that. And I was like, I hate you, Mom. I hate you. And I said it, and when I said it, like I didn't mean it. I shouldn't have said that. And she opened the door and she said, "Oh, you hate me? You want to move to your daddy when Houston?" I said, no. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to say that. I was upset. I didn't mean to say those words, and luckily she forgave me. But that's something that cracks me up because I don't want my children to do that. But I see when today playing out back, Robin's getting upset at her brother because he wasn't like kicking the ball. He was trying to get her to chase the ball to play with her, and she was like throwing her hands down as she does. And I was just like, okay, like I see it more and more as the day goes by. They got my attitude.
Of all things, y'all, they look like me.
But they got my attitude.
But that temper is this
temper. It's a bird culture temper. But as we said, that kind of goes into what we're talking about today. And the word, okay.
Did you want to do your question?
No,
Go ahead.
What the question was, what is something that you said when you was little, like I just explained, that you got in trouble for? I have another story. I told a lady, back in the day, you used to get whooped, right? I got whooped by this lady. I must have cussed out. I had an older brother, may he rest his soul, and I used to follow him, and I used to say the words. And I did something, I don't remember what I said exactly, but she spanked me. And then I went home, my grandmother May spanked me, and then my mama spanked me.
I wasn't.
You wasn't that kid?
The talkbacker, that was my brother.
Oh, okay.
Like, he was gonna debate you. Like, I was chill like my dad. Like, if I got in trouble, it was like, okay, let's just get this over with so I can go on about my business. Mm-hmm. My brother'd be like, well, let's talk about this because there's different options, what's going on. And I'm just like, dude, hush. You about to make it bad for both of us. Right. So I didn't really say anything, but there was a couple times I laughed. But it was like a nervous laugh. Right. And it was bad because I seen the shift in my mom's eyes, and I said, I'm gonna die.
There's nothing worse than when you're getting in trouble and then your sibling laughs.
That's what it was.
Cameron did that all the time, and I used to get it worse. I'm like, yo, stop laughing. I'm getting your punishment because it didn't hurt you.
I would try to help my brother and be like, don't, he would be like, I'm gonna go put extra layers of clothes on, or I'm gonna go. My mom had a wooden spoon. She would hit our hand. I'm gonna go put water on my hand, and I'm like, that's gonna make it sting more.
Why would you do
dumb? He was. Thinking
outsmart.
So he thought he knew, and so then he would get in trouble, and I just hear him like whimpering back to his room, and I start laughing, and she's like, "You think it's funny?" And I'm like, "I'm in my room. I don't want the smoke."
Yeah. But that gives us, as today, our title for today is the power of words. Obviously, everybody knows that words are very powerful and impactful. We used to have this stupid saying, "Is sticking stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." And
that's a lie.
That's a lie. That's the biggest lie if I've ever heard one, and I don't know why we allowed that to be a thing, but it was.
Anyways, go ahead.
And our scripture that we're pulling from today is out of Ephesians 4:29, and it says, "Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification," just teaching, "that it may impart grace to the hearers." And that is something that I think we got kind of like a two-part thing. One, how we speak, and then two, again, the hearers, right? Part of communication is the hearing of what is being said. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times, we listen to respond rather than listening to actually understand what is being said.
Yeah.
And I am point in case of that issue in my younger days, as I assume anybody and everybody is. And there may be people that's still struggling with that today.
Yeah.
But I try to really do a good job of really hearing, even with my 3-year-old today, I try to hear what she's saying. I may not understand it all because she's, again, in a sense like me, when her mind is just running and the words aren't really, they're not matching.
They're trying to catch up.
They're trying to catch up. She was like, she asked for something before bed, and she was like,
she's like, I want some crackers. I said, she just wants some crackers.
I didn't hear anything else but crackers.
It was a lot.
I was like, what does she want? So it's very important for us to be able to speak in a way that soothes people, in a sense of not soothe them and try to be the tomfoolery or trickery or anything like that, but in a way that doesn't bring back backlash.
Yeah, I think it's important to note too that, like, speaking to edify people, not edify, uplift or edify people.
Yeah, it's about uplifting people.
Doesn't mean that you have to be docile or not speak your mind. I say that because that's something that I have learned and still learning, because for me, like, I've always learned, like, be humble, show humility. That's part of, like, being graceful and all of those things that I like to personify and teach others. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to keep your opinion to yourself. So now marrying him,
there's some. That's wisdom. Keep going. Sometimes you want to keep your tongue.
Well, you're right. So what I mean by that, like, he's very blunt with his opinions, where I am very much keep it to myself and just deal sometimes with things that have been uncomfortable with, or I felt like I probably should have spoken up about, and I just didn't say anything.
And that's one thing that really bothers me, is like when you get done with the conversation,
and then you're like, I should have
said X, Y, and Z. I still do that because I'm like, man, I should have just said this instead.
Yeah, and it was just because I was like, I don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of where I was going with it. Not necessarily you just going and saying, like, outlandish stuff, but, like, not being, I guess, confident enough to speak things that make you you.
You know what? Here's the thing that there's an issue somewhat with people speaking. I'm speaking my truth.
I know, that's why I didn't want to say that, because I'm like, that's annoying to me.
Yeah, no, it is, because it's like, okay, that's your truth. But I
don't think have it's,
to, I mean,
I don't think it's a truth. There's a truth, and then there's your viewpoint.
Yeah.
That's two different things. Like, there's a truth, which is the overall truth of whatever the situation is. Mm-hmm. The sky is...
You can't say my truth is the sky is green.
Yeah, the sky is blue. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Your viewpoint is it's a turquoise color, or it's a light blue. That's what I see. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's your viewpoint, but that don't mean that that got to be everybody's viewpoint.
I can feel that. Okay.
So I think truth is being used... It's being mishandled.
It's been mishandled. I like that. I like that. It's being mishandled.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, people are using truths very stretched of the imagination of the word as a weapon.
Absolutely.
And that ain't nothing but the enemy.
Yeah.
Using it as a weapon because we want to make sure that what we're
like
saying,
everything is acceptable because you put my truth on there.
Yeah.
No.
These are truths in this, and it's funny because I'll read it, and something that apparently happened 2,000 years ago is very apparent to me 2,000 years later.
Yeah.
There's truth in that. It says his word is truth. Yeah. And it says that the truth shall set you free. And it's like when you read those words and you read, like, it should be like, that's how we should talk to people.
Right.
And I want to get to this point, people. I really do. Like, I am a match kind of energy. I want to be more like Jesus in the fact that if you say something, it's like, all right, bro. Yeah. That's where I really want to get to. I want to get to that so unbothered that you go ahead. Like, it is what it is.
Jesus was unbothered, but then he would drop bombs.
But he would drop bombs.
Like today, like I got time.
Sins, cast the first stone, bro. What?
Well, I read today in Luke 7, and I've read it before, but I don't know. It just I guess the translation I read it in, but it was when they went to, I believe, Mary's house. It may have been Mary's.
You said washing the feet.
Yeah. And so they were all like, "Oh, she down there washing his feet and stuff, and crying and everything." And he was like, "Y'all like." Basically, it was like if there's two men that owe somebody money, one owes 5,000, one owes 50,000. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, and he forgives both their debts.
Right. I like
who's going to be more thankful or more grateful? And they're like, the one that owed the more. So he was like, it's the same thing with sinners. If you feel like you've sinned a lot in your life, you're going to be more thankful. And he was like, she obviously has done things and you guys are like trying to call her out on it, but she's like thankful for, you know, me forgiving her and loving her, and that's why she's treating me the way it is. But anyways, I liked how he did it because they were like trying to be like, oh, she need to go somewhere, and he was like,
you doing too much.
First of all, y'all didn't wash my feet and give me a kiss or nothing, so sit down.
Right.
And they sat down.
He put people in their place so elegantly.
Like, right.
So elegantly, and it's funny because it makes you chuckle. Like,
yes, I love it.
It makes you chuckle when you're reading it, and
I can picture it.
Yeah, because it's like,
I'm like, that's how I want to sing. That's probably not what I'm supposed to get out of it, but
that's what I want to do.
That's how I want to zing people. No.
Yes.
I'm just kidding, y'all.
But it's in a way that still is. I don't think it was. You didn't cuss him out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where we're at right now.
I think it's holding people accountable. Like, he was holding them accountable in how they were reacting to her. Like, you're worried about her because she's quote unquote beneath you because she's whatever, but really,
and you know,
she's doing the thing that you all should be doing.
And there's a part in that story when a certain person was like, "Yo, this could have been given to the poor people."
Yeah.
He said, "Bro, you always had them with you, but you'll never have me again."
Right.
And then there was a little translation that says he didn't care about them poor people. He was worried about the purse, which meant he was worried about the money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he was trying to serve two guys. He was worried more about the money and not about what was being done.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of the times with our words, we're worried about what we want, what we're trying to say, and not worried about the impact of what we're saying. And really just like the mom from earlier about the little girl, she probably was busy. She probably had a lot of things going on. Overstimulated. That's how I'm seeing that it's happening to you. I get it now. I see it. I understand it. And that mom probably was in that moment where she was overstimulated.
And if you're not aware of it,
and in that
you
moment,
will take it out on...
She took it out on her child, who's very precious to her.
Yeah.
You know, because she talked about her mom today and talked about her, or not today, but yesterday talked about her mom and her dad and how her mom wanted to get back around her family growing up because she's from here. They lived out in North Carolina. She told me kind of like her whole life story. And so that shows me that her mom really cares about her. Mm-hmm. But in that moment of frustration, she told her to either be quiet.
And all it takes is a moment.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And I'm very mindful of how, I'm not going to say very mindful, but I am trying to get very mindful of how my attitude is or my stress level is when Rosalind's crying, Robin's just yipping yapping, and it's a lot for me. And I don't want to be like, hey, yo, hush up, you know, because I don't want to stifle their voices. And I think as a parent, we do that unaware.
Yeah.
Where we stifle their voices, and they're not going to be a person that is going to speak up.
Right.
And use their voices in the way that we're supposed to.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you, like, how do we cultivate children that are confident in, you know, speaking their mind, but saying it with grace?
You know, today,
so
I get what you're saying, because I was doing an assignment for myself I finished one of my courses. And as I'm trying to finish it, Roman is just going down, up, just making noise. So guess who chimes in? Robin. They both just go. I'm like, Roman, hey, you ain't gotta you don't have to say anything if you don't have to do it. You can be quiet. Robin, hey, you can be quiet. You don't have to just say it. You don't just have to make noise to make noise. You know, and I think that is a more pleasant way.
Yeah.
Instead of just telling them, hey, shut up. Stop it. I get it. You may be at a point where you need to do something, but you don't have to make noise just to make noise.
Yeah.
You know, and in that moment I was mindful because I was trying to take this test and I'm wanting them to be around me because I don't want to kick them out the room. And you were resting, so I was like, I want you to rest and I want them to go in the front room and be more loud. And I think it's being mindful of how we're getting them to redirect when they're in those moments. If you got something to say, by all means, say it. Right? I'll never like when we get onto it, like early today, use your words, use your big girl voice. And I read something a while back. It said maybe they don't know what to say, and that's okay. Then be quiet.
Yeah.
But if you are asking for something, closed mouths don't get fed.
Right. And so that's why, like, earlier she was asking for a snack before bed, and she knows that I'm going to have her back with everything. And so she's like, Mommy, go ask Daddy if I can. And I was like, no, if you want him, you need to ask for him. But I was still there, like, just ask, say, Daddy, may I have some crackers, please? And so she was like, I said, you got to use your big girl voice.
Just like that.
And so it took her a couple times, and she finally asked for the crackers. And don't you know them crackers are sitting over there?
Right over there.
That was just
sitting over there.
Yeah.
And that's really why I'd be like, no, you don't need anything. You just trying to stay up. Like, I know you're pool. I know your game, but your mom's gonna do it. And it's like, all right. But it is what it is.
But yeah, so it's like a healthy boundary of letting, when they're younger, of course, letting them know, like, you know, it's okay that you don't know. Let me help you. But also giving them that leeway to figure it out. It's a balance of it because you can't expect them to figure all of it out by themselves because they've only been on this planet for, you know,
X amount of years.
You know, however long.
And that's the point of, I think, you as a parent, you're trying to get them to learn how to talk. One of these, or learning what to say. One of the things that I saw a while back that I did with Roman, and he's 7 now, about to be 8 next Wednesday, Lord. But one of the exercises we did with him, and it still doesn't work here. It works apparently everywhere else. We did it. We got a toothpaste. We got a tube of toothpaste, right? And we squeezed it all out. Squeezed it all out on the paper plate. Just squeezed it all out, right? And then after he was done squeezing it all out, I told him to put that back into the tube. Put all that toothpaste you just spilled out on there, put it back in the tube. And he got frustrated. He was like, I can't do it. I know you can't. And that's how our words are. Once you say something, you can't put them back in. As powerful as our words are, and as meaningful as our words are, or as hurtful as our words are, you can't reel them back in. And there's plenty of.
I was gonna say there's a lot of scriptures in the Bible about
it says we use
controlling your tongue.
We use a little horse bit. A horse bit steers this big horse from left to right and everywhere else, but we can't control the tongue. A little rudder steers a ship left and right and all over, but we can't control the tongue. And there's so many things in there, and then words are like honey, right? You know, so there's so many verses in here where it's important for us to know how to talk to our people, whether they are a follower of Christ or not, whether they are a person that you know or not, right? It doesn't matter.
Authority figure or not, like parents or elders or whatever, because these kids nowadays they don't respect elders at all, and I'm just like, I guess I'm a little old school because what?
Again,
I still say yes, ma'am.
You know, and I'm 37, about to be 38.
I am an adult.
I'm sorry.
At my big age, I'm still like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, like, it's crazy. Because, you know, I haven't been told yes, sir by my students, not never. And I've been a teacher for 10 years.
I'd be surprised if they did. I don't think their parents.
You know, like, so.
And look, you see how I just said that you always blame the parents.
You do. Because it's them who teaches the manners. But, like, I walked into class, my other class the other day, and I go in and they like, I wish a teacher would tell me to be quiet. And it's like, yo, y'all are still children. But okay. And then they was like, yeah, I bet if Coach Burke told you to be quiet, you gonna be quiet. And they was like, no, I ain't gonna be quiet. You know, they started, you know, puffing their chests up or whatever. But you know, they understand authority in that sense. Mm-hmm. Because it's coming from me. Mm-hmm. Authority is also respect.
That's what I was going to say. Because they respect you
because of how I talk to them. You know, I treat them, and I tell my students every year, you know, my respect level is already at 100 for you. As long as you keep it there for me and you, as you talk to me as I talk to you, we're good. You know, but once your words start to be a little disrespectful, now you've lost respect in my book, and it makes it harder for you throughout the year. But I think that's something that is a lost art right now. You know, we had also, if you don't have nothing nice to say, then don't say nothing at all. These people don't.
The way
care.
Social media is set up, it's messed that up.
It's messed it up.
Because people think they big and bad with them fingers, and then it starts to reflect into real life, and there's no consequences anymore for it, and so people just speak their truth.
Yeah.
And say all kinds of things that it's like.
Yeah.
It just doesn't even need to be said. It's not out of love. It's just out of your viewpoint and hate.
And hate, yeah. It's definitely out of hate. It comes from a very dark spot of your soul. And again, the Holy Spirit was just telling me, it is not what goes into your mouth that defiles you. It is what comes out of your mouth that defiles you.
Yeah.
And what comes out of our mouths comes from our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
So if you tell a person that you this, that, and this, that, and this, that, and this, that, you've been thinking that about them. Mm-hmm. And it comes out. And you ain't trying to make them better by telling them all the things that are wrong with them. If you do it in a way like Jesus, who are among us without sin? Cast your first stone.
Yeah.
Then people started to leave one by one.
And you know, something that I'd like to use this analogy, or I guess metaphor, of, you know, the pitcher of water in the cup. Mm. You know, whatever you pour into the cup. I mean, whatever you fill your pitcher with is what you're going to pour into the cup. And it works also with what we're talking about with parenting. Yeah. So where the pitcher and your children are, is the cup. And so whatever you're pouring into the cup is what is going to be in them. So it's like, yes, we're talking about, you know, the disrespect of, you know, how we're talking and everything like that, but where are they getting it from? What is pouring into them? So that means you also have to be accountable for yourself.
100%.
So it's like, I can't expect my kids to be like, I'm very old school, not old school, but I'm very like,
you're a mixture.
Yeah, I'm a mixture, but like I have a passion for young ladies finding their elegance again. Like that's something that I enjoy, working with young girls. So of course, me with 2 daughters, I want to make sure that they are understanding that their beauty is more than just the outward appearance. Right. So in order for me to teach them that means I have to walk in that too. So that's not me just like wearing makeup every day. That's how I carry myself on a daily basis, how I talk to other people, how I talk to him, how we play, even, you know, those type of things, how we dance. She likes to dance, Robin likes to dance, I like to dance. So we may dance to whatever music is on. Nothing, you know, I don't do all that.
Too crazy.
Yeah. But I may throw some like NSYNC or something on or whatever, but I'm not going to be teaching her how to twerk and thinking it's cute.
Yeah.
You know, so circling back around, it's the same thing with how we speak and how we teach our children how to speak, whether it's, you know, respectfully through love or speaking their
love language.
Speaking confidently and all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just how we say it, but how we are acting it out too. That's gonna fill their cup.
Yeah, because more is caught than taught, right?
Yeah.
And again, a picture came to my mind just now. I seen it was this baby in front, right? And this baby was like, "I hate you, worms." And then it's his dad or a parent, whoever, behind him saying the same thing. And then behind him is the grandparent. They're saying the same thing. You know,
it's that generational bondage, and it just
actually, I think it was a little bit reverse. I think the dad or the person, the parent, was telling their child that they love you, like it was like protecting them because.
They were trying to break it.
They were trying to break it. I think that's what it was. That's what it was. It was like mean words. But then the parent now was speaking love.
It's like, no, we're blocking that.
Yeah, they're speaking love into their child.
That's nice.
And so that is something how I think we like right now, there is somebody listening to this that are breaking a generational pattern. And you have to take it as that. You was set up, you was born in this moment, this time, right now, to break whatever patterns that you see inside your own family that you want to break. And that's what marriage is about. Right? I wanted to break generational patterns in my family. I don't know if you know our story, but I didn't have that father. I didn't have the dad in the home. I always wanted to be a dad at home, even at 15. At 15, I wanted to be a dad in the home. So I knew I wanted to be married. And I told her a while back, I didn't think I was going to get married. God blessed me twice, I will say.
Once, the first one's a practice run.
I didn't understand it. You know, yeah, I will agree with that. But, you know, I was able to still do that and learn. I was still learning. I learned a lot. So shout out to that trial. No, the trial period.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll send
I love
thank you card.
Yes. But in all honesty, I knew at 15 that I wanted to be married. I wanted to break those curses of those patterns of not being a full family.
Yeah.
Because I think about it, of all the homes that a parent causes broken homes, when it's not just one broken home, you know, we don't think about those things enough. We don't talk about those things enough. Of again, we can talk about it in a polite way to say, I don't want a broken home, and with a group of people, with a group of men, with a group of women, those conversations are needed, not to put shame on anybody, but just to say, let's break this, right? Let's break this in a way that shows the world that families are strong and that they can be in a loving environment where
that's just having the community, just having a community that like of support to get through those moments, because we all have.
But it comes back to the words, because somebody in there is not going to do these words as far as edifying somebody. Somebody's going to feel some type of way when you're like, oh, you judge me. No, I'm not. I'm just wanting us to be.
I mean, you gotta be able to be vulnerable and to be open, and that's something that has to be. I think that's something that has to be not taught but cultivated, because I feel like kids start open, and then life over time shuts us off, and then as adults we're trying to figure out how to open back up. And so it's like, as parents, cultivating that environment where it's okay to be open.
Is that the step one? Cultivating the place? Is that step one?
I think it is.
Step one is to cultivate the place where they are able to speak.
Yeah.
And not in fear of those repercussions, because we want them to go outside the home. We have a short amount of time. We have 18 years with the person to raise them to be. Now, obviously, we have a lifetime, right? I'm just saying the customary 18. I know for me, I want if our daughters and our son was like, hey, I'm working and I'm trying to do this. I'm fine with if you're working to be better. You can be at home till 21 to get yourself together.
Yeah.
To get yourself together.
Yeah.
Because
I got my first place when I was 25, but I was working.
But you're working. Yeah. But you're working. You was going to school. You was doing things. Like if you just trying to sit up in the crib, no. That's not how this works. You got 8 months now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But
and I was contributing to
I want them to be a person again that is a full person when they're knowing how to speak, knowing how to carry themselves, and all the other lessons that we talked about our seed preservation in this series. All these things, now it's only a 4-week series of ideas and how to better our families.
Yeah.
And with those things, the first one is, again, in all of this, I think, it's just a safe space. Have your children want to be home rather than out in the streets.
Want to be home and want to be around
and want to be around you. You know, that's important.
Like, and it's such
it comes to how you talk.
Yeah, it's such a big deal. Like, even when they're younger, we were talking about the overstimulate. I get overstimulated every day. I kid you not. But at the same time, I try to look at it differently because I'm like, she loves being around me. And she loves talking to me. And it's like, I don't want to be that parent to be like, oh my gosh, I'm tired, go away. Like, leave me alone. And so even when I do need the breaks, I tell her, like, mommy's just tired and needs to go lay down. And then I'll come back and you can tell me about whatever it is. So I don't just all the way shut her down. So I'm able to take care of myself, but also still take care of her in the sense of letting her know that, like, her voice matters and I like her presence because I don't ever want her to feel like, oh, I'm just gonna go to my room. I seen a thing that was talking about, like, we're
front room.
Our generation is raising. Well, our generation were room kids,
right? That
are raising front room or living room kids. So basically, like, we liked playing in our rooms with our toys or whatever, but these kids, because of the way that our generation is trying to, like, shift a little bit, like to be in the living room with their parents more instead of, by themselves.
They was building blocks in front of me today.
And so it's like, how do you tell you, like, you don't want to be like, oh, okay, go to your room and play when they want to be in your presence, you know? So it's like finding that balance of, like, I need a break because, all parents gonna need a break. But also letting them know, like, it's okay for you to be around us. It's okay for you to speak. Like, Robin was telling me about a dream she had. Made no kind of sense. But I sat there and listened to it and was like, okay, so then what happened? And she was just telling me everything, and I was like, that's great. No, it actually wasn't Max and Goofy. Like, it was like
a legit
like, sounded like a mommy dream because it was some stuff going on, and I was like, oh, okay. But I sat there and let her get it all out. Did it make all sense to me? No, but I let her get it out because I don't ever want to stunt her talking, and that comes from it being the opposite way. Like, I had that. Yeah. Not that my parents did it on purpose, but I just was a reserved kid, and it was never cultivated for me to
be more vocal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so that's 1 and 2, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the third one you think? What's the third thing we can work on?
Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but how we listen to one another.
Yeah. And it takes to listen to your kids.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing I tell my students is, as a teenager, I never wanted to be a parent that forgot that I was a kid. And that takes listening, because you say, you're 15, what you got to worry about? What are you stressing about? But they got stresses at 15 that you may not understand at 35, 36, 37, 40, whatever you are. And so I think listening is very big, because our children are hurting because they're not being heard.
Yeah.
So I think those are really good 3 things right there that we as parents can do better to support our children.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I mean, that's all that we have for this series. We do have another one coming up, but we're gonna take a week off, as we do, to get it all situated, and then we'll come back and start our new series. We're so excited about it. Thank you guys for listening. And just, if you have anything that you want to add, drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe and all of those things. And we just wish you all well.
Peace.